Good morning. Hello. Hello, Jeff. Today marks a year, your Angelversary. And I just felt like I don't know why, because I just kind of get led on things now, but I felt that I wanted to do this, sort of a video journal of what the last year's been like, what is going on with me internally, with people around me, and no real agenda. Just I just felt I had to do this. It's been impressed upon me for about a week, if not longer, of what to do as this day approached. Um, a lot of people will say the days leading up to that s- monumental day, whatever it is, sometimes holidays, whatever, are worse than the day itself. But yeah, and Judy and I were talking about this last night. It's not, I thought about this day coming up, obviously, but it hasn't been overwhelming or anything. Every day's horrible because of what happened. But for those of you who may not know, I lost my son Jeff a year ago today, February 23rd, 2023. And so yeah, the day, I mean, a lot of people say it's another day. It is, but you certainly recognize it. And for some, it's worse than others. We're going to celebrate, well, not celebrate, but mark the day. Favorite place that Judy, Jeff, and I used to go for dinner all the time, to Longhorn Steakhouse tonight. We've gone one other time. It was on his birthday in September. And mark the day that way. Um, that's not the place you're looking at right now behind me. We were at, I think that was Outback Steakhouse for his birthday um, that year. And just love that picture of Jeff. It's a beautiful picture of him, and Judy as well. So today, what is this about, and why did I feel I need to do this? I don't know. Like I said, a lot has changed, a lot has gone on. Most of you know me through the music scene here locally, and still, and you know this, I haven't touched anything really in music at all, and in fact, I haven't. I sang twice with Hot Daddy Rocks doing Soul Shine, just for some special occasions. But otherwise, and a lot of people might not understand why or whatever. But most of what I've learned, most of all, and what I've gained through this time has been that this is my journey. Everybody's got their own journey through this. Judy and I have been talking pretty in depth about both of our journeys through this, and they're quite different, and we need to mesh that and make that work right, because it's difficult. But so we're working on that, and it's okay. It's just difficult, and I guess it would be expected to be. So the journey, of course, in the beginning, absolutely horrific. I don't dwell too much on that day. The scene comes into my head, of course, and I've learned what a good thing to do with that is, you recognize it, you feel it, you hurt it, you feel the hurt, the pain, but as you move on through this grief journey, you want to start remembering more in love than pain. And so, I simply say, Jeff, I love you and I miss you, and replace those memories, those thoughts in your head with the good things. and some joy. And it still happens quite a bit, it's there. It's only a 1 year. Um, Grief experts will tell you that the initial phases of this kind of grief are a couple of years, so I mean, kind of it's a long road. And so 1 year, it seems like a long time, but then it doesn't. The grief journey is weird. It's strange. I like to, as horrific as it is, it's neat to analyze kind of when things go on. And, you know, um, being out of the music thing, I've picked up work, just driving. I drive Uber and Lyft, and I work for Over the Falls Tours and drive charter for them and things. And a lot of time thinking and just kind of meditating on my own, and just be trying to be in a good place, as it goes on. Um, get on the journey here, and in the beginning, of course, so bad, and so many friends rallied around us. The celebration of Jeff's life was, it's a blur to me because I was I was drinking quite a bit that day, but it was nonstop. Over 200 and some people came through there, and I mean, I was greeting people the whole time, and it was quite amazing. The support from all of you was astounding, and quite memorable and meaningful. And so, but that day is really, whew, wow, what a blur. But as time moved on, as it does, um, those close to the situation at that time, they kind of move on, and their lives are going on, ours are going on in a different way. And so, unpacking some of that initially was scary. Judy was like, I got to go back to work. What are you going to do? And, am I going to leave you here? And, are you going to be freaking out every day? And, at that time, I kind of got wrapped up in trying to just work through my grief. I did still working with some online associations, and to work through it that way. So I'm in touch with that, and that helped me along during that time. And as time moved on, we went into the summer and things, and got busy with some stuff, and it was good. And again, friends still rallied around us, and were there, and you know, um, sometimes easy, sometimes difficult going out. I mean, I started kind of shying away, like, it's okay. I'm doing all right, because you can tell when people come up to you, they're thinking about it and thinking about you, and that's great. But it's not, you don't want to talk about it all the time, and people don't want to hear about it all the time. So, it was more just kind of like, okay, let's thank you, but we're out here to, let's celebrate a little, let's have a good time, and don't want to bring everybody down with it. But there's those people, these kind of your grief friends, and then there's those who are not. So sorting that out is part of the movement. But I guess then you move on, and then football season came along, and my sister and her husband came down, and helped us watch that first game. And because those who don't know, Jeff, Judy, and I would watch all the games, and Judy's other sons and some other people would come along, and but we watched every game, and Polly and Crystal Bellardi with us in the garage. And Jeff loved the Bills, and so that was a time to look at, and recognize that we had to do something there. And Judy did a beautiful tribute to Jeff on the wall in our garage, with his jersey in a glass case, and lights around it, and some other pictures and things. And so we recognized Jeff during the games, and we always do Jello shots for the Bills touchdowns. And so I did one for Jeff every time too this year. And so we marked him that way. As I said, on his birthday in September 21st, we went to Longhorn, my sister and Ernie, if I'm remembering right, I believe. Sorry, my brain scattered too. But they came up and we went to Longhorn and just marked his birthday. Um, it's weird. I want to just mention one other thing too. Jeff and my daughter Katie, she's 30 years old. It's my adopted daughter. She was my ex-wife's biological child, and I adopted Katie. We were estranged when all this happened, and some things we still got to work through with what happened with us. But we're back acquainted, and I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but um, she was into drugs, and when I saw her at Jeff's wake and things, fortunately, her mother had prepared me for her because Katie was in a bad way, and she weighed about 94 pounds and was in a bad shape. And to wrap that all up very quickly, uh, we correspond with one another, and we still, like I said, we got to talk about some of the things that went on or whatever. But she is over 6 months clean now, and she's gained weight and looks really good, and she's in a good place right now, and I'm proud of her with that. And we both believe that Jeff has a hand in that because, of course, that's something he would want ultimately for her. And so that's a good thing that's happened. Recently, I'm in a group called Helping Fathers Heal, and it's an online group. It's a national group, maybe international, and it comes from Helping Parents Heal. And the reason why I'm with that group is because of my belief system now and what's happened with that. And a large part of me, what's transformed with me has been my inner my inner growth through all of this. And recently I posted on a guy's post in the Facebook group for Helping Fathers Heal, and he was marking something. I can't remember if it was the 1 year mark for him or what it was, but I said something about um how I've grown or the good parts of this. And he said, and I haven't answered him yet on there, but hopefully this will do it for him. But he said, I'd be interested to know what you mean by good, the good that's come out of this or whatever. And I understand that so many people, depending on how they've reacted to a child dying, could see any good come out of something like this. Um, and mine comes from my belief system and what's occurred through all of this. And that's a large part of today in this, I think, and people understanding where I'm coming from now. And part of why the music is not existing for me now and that type of thing. And see, when my mom died a couple of years ago, and my brother introduced me to looking at, he said, I've been looking into like near death experiences and what goes on with that. And so I started looking at that time and did for quite a while. And as I mentioned, at times, Jeff and I used to talk about this type of stuff, and he knew my beliefs. Like I learned to believe that near what they learn in near death experiences, and there's been now tens, hundreds of thousands of studies of this now, and there's some inexplicable things that their consensus is that our consciousness lives on when we die. So some of these near death experiences have talked about what what they have seen when they're clinically dead and heard in verbatim can tell what's been going on and what's happened. And so there's been study of all of these things with doctors, scientists, and some of it is irrefutable. There's just no way that the brain, a non-working brain, should be able to bring this information back. So they believe, instead of what science has said for a long time, that our brain creates consciousness, that consciousness exists outside of us, and and that our brain receives that consciousness when we're born and things. So, and that when we die, our consciousness goes back to the universe, the source or God, whatever you want to call that. And we all are part of that one thing. That's a very short version of my belief system. And that I firmly believe this now. See, when I was a pastor for 15 years, for those of you who don't know, and even during that time, I feared death. I really did. I claimed I had a strong belief, and I think I did at the time, and believed in all the tenets of Christianity. And but I was scared of death. I really was. And ever since my understanding of this consciousness thing and everything, and listening to the testimonies of things, reading studies, whatever it may be, I don't fear death anymore, and I really don't. And I don't just say that. Maybe I said that when I was a pastor even, but it's belief now. I really am set in that. And I believe Jeff is there. And I believe that this dimension is just beyond us. Like, and that's why they can make touches with us through different ways. And people know about those signs and things that go on. I'm trying to raise, and you'll hear this term too, raise your vibration level. And so, I think that, our whole world is kind of a different vibration levels. And that world where Jeff is and the source and all those things are at just a level just beyond, beyond us some. And through meditation and these type of things that people talk about, you can attain those things and touch into those worlds. And so that's a work in progress for me. I'm not at a good place with all of that yet. I've done some meditation and it's helped. Definitely in the grief times, I got into some meditation. I was introduced to some guided meditations by a friend, Chris Gress. And Chris, I love you. Thank you. And I listened to them and they helped me. They really did. And it gave me a lot of peace inside. But I want to develop that more in me. And it's prayer, it's meditation, whatever you want to call it, and it is what it is. I don't want to, and I know a lot of my Christian friends who, think that this is new agey or whatever, may think this. But I just don't believe what I used to believe as far as the Christian sense, and that Jesus is the only way and these type of things. And I know that's blasphemy to some of you. Please, I love you, and I think that you're on a good path too. All right. I think there's many ways to bring the joy and ultimately what I think our purpose is in this life. And all these people who come back from these near death experiences, all the major religions, everything else, they are all based on love, and that love is the key. And that as the golden rule is, love others as you would love yourself. And so, it's also, I've heard through some of these studies that every major religion has some semblance of that. And so there's something about that. I think that all these things that we see, that the consciousness studies and near deaths, I think they've been happening all through time. And I think that man has tried to put this into words, and the dogma that was created out of all of that and everything else is from that happening, and them not being able to explain what's been going on. So that's where I stand with all of that. But um and I just heard a guy yesterday. I was listening to a testimony. I told Judy this, that he's a police officer and he had a near death experience, and he said, the greatest thing is that we all have our individual journeys in all of this and recognition of it. So what I talk about and what my journey is, I'm not trying to impress that upon anybody else, or you all explore your own journey and discover your own route in that. And so I don't have to sit there and feel obligated to try and convince you of anything or anything else. It's my journey. And so, and that's his, and we're all meant to recognize what we recognize at different times in our lives. It's like our life on earth here is a school. We're learning, we're experiencing things, we're learning them. And so that is where, when I talked about what that guy said, how could it be a good thing? Where Jeff's leaving this world has caused a good internal growth in me. And so, I believe that that's taking me to a better level of my what I'm supposed to be as this human on this earth. And that's loving others, in every way, in every moment, whether it's looking them in the eye as we don't see so often now and saying, hello, good morning. I drive Uber and I get a lot of people going to work and they're miserable and you can just tell it when they come in. But I've I've started being a little bit more sensitive and understanding them immediately and just coming into their place and kind of just, you know, trying to give them comfort in some way. I put on, and when I drive in my car, I got some instrumental jazz music on, it's nice vibe and many people comment on it. And it's like, I feel really good when they say that, you know, they like it or they feel good about it or it's given them some peace or whatever. You know, um, that's kind of what I want to bring to the world around me and within me and what I can do. I've always talked about this that, you can listen to the news and start getting, freaked out about all that stuff or whatever. And I did for a while and, I noticed it. But I've always said this, we can only influence the sphere we have around us on a daily and momentary basis. So that's what I try to take care of. I'm not going to sit there and worry about, what's in the future or what's been happening in the past. I recognize those things. There's things I'm working on. Judy and I had a long talk about this last night. I really want to work on this is where the music thing kind of comes in. What I've grown in and what I am growing in through Jeff's passing is trying to be a better person, period. And I wasn't particularly happy with who I was becoming, even at that time. And a lot of you may not understand this, but it's all about yourself and ego. And although maybe to some of you I didn't come across that way when I was entertaining or whatever, but I know personally within myself the detriment of all if it's about me, if it's all about me, whatever, and it can be masked in so many ways. And I notice this now, it's being revealed to me a lot, how I mask that, but so I'm trying to get more out of self and more about others and just be mindfulness is being in the moment. So that's where you don't worry about the past or the future or whatever it may be. You are concentrating and more focused on now, what people's needs are now, what you can be in the now. And so it's a long process and then not an easy one. And so, but there's parts of me that I really, really dislike and hate that I have been. And there's a lot of good things. I mean, my past includes a lot of things of helping people per se, whether it was ministry, whether when I worked ambulance, when I worked at hospice. But I think all of those experiences have led up to this. And so, when I was a pastor, um, oh, I kind of lost my train of thought there. It'll come back. There's been a lot of that through the last year, that's for sure. Um, you know, um, touched by some real things that kind of went on that I wasn't aware of. Some people from Jeff's work contacting me and saying how much they meant to him, he meant to them there. Um, Judy's sons, the impact he had on them as they looked at him as a brother. And so, how precious that is, how much that means to me personally is amazing. They all deal with it in different ways. And so, you know, that's pretty touching and pretty meaningful. Trying to think of anything else here. Yeah, there was that one point I was gonna make that uh, trying to think. Well, anyways, about this this revelation kind of in myself and seeing things from a different light. That's oh, I wish I could think of the point. I know it's something that I wanted to get across. But anyways, I don't want to belabor everything here, but there's been other things that have gone on that I've just changed my mind on, or just it just changed. Maybe I had the thought, and maybe that was my ego, my brain saying, "Yeah, that's what I want to do," or whatever. But it's changed, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. And I've mentioned in posts that my limitations are there now. Like I used to kind of give and give and give and try to be what people thought what I thought people wanted out of me and took pride in being, oh, I can do this for you, or I can do that for you, and really push to do it and extend myself too much. That's all stopped. I mean, I know my limits quite clearly now, and I say no a lot. And ooh, my sorry about that. My camera kind of took a little jump there. Sorry about that. Oh, it's still different. Anyways, okay, sorry. Yeah, I want to get my head out of there. I'm back there. Anyways, yeah, so it's a little different, but sorry. Um, yeah, so the yeah, all these things about internally or whatever, and sorry, my brain's just yeah, that's it. Shutting down, right? Um I shut down, like I'll just say no. And I'm at peace with so much now, and that's a good thing. So all of that sort of comes out of this. Boy, I miss Jeff though. I mean, I miss him on this earth. And I really do want to make that great contact with him. I've had signs for sure, and they happen quite frequently. But everybody wants the burning bush experience, like I want Jeff to come to me in my dreams. He hasn't come to me in my dreams yet. But then there's always talk that maybe the one who passed is in a kind of a holding period to till they can make those kind of contacts with you and that kind of stuff. So um I believe it's going to come. I love him, so much and he knows that. I talk to him all the time. And but I miss him on this earth and I miss things we would do and the fun stuff and the laughs. And just recently too gonna change over his phone or maybe even shut his phone off. It's still on. And his voice message, I listened to it for the first time last week. And all he says is Jeffrey Bender. And it's his voice. And it's the first time I ever heard it. But I've saved the recording. There's a way of doing that off his phone, and I saved all. Judy helped me to move his messages and all his phone contents over to her phone, so that I have all his text messages and everything else. So that's all great too. Um, anyways, I'll probably the podcast, I've thought about starting the podcast. Sometimes different things come out of it now and kind of say, well, maybe you should be talking about this or talking about that. So I'm still trying to sort out what I want to do with all that or what it may be and waiting for my message of what I should be doing really. And I believe that that comes from our source and our collective consciousness and everything. So I'm working to tap into that. So I'll keep you updated on that. I love you all so much, and I want to thank you so much for supporting me, what you did with music and everything else. And I hope you understand. I hope you understand. And music's a large part of my life, but it's not all my life. And so will I return to music someday? Probably not in the way I did. Um, More and more it looks like that might not happen. I've thought of picking up the guitar and just playing instrumentally. I really don't listen. I listen to instrumental music every day, but I don't really listen to other things at all. And so, I mean, I may work better at getting better at guitar and just in my personal pleasure if it comes out in things where I can share that with people and I'm okay in myself and understand my place in that, then I'll do it. And so I'm open to that. And music's in my life for a reason. And I understand all the ins and outs of people and know you meant this to these people, and I understand all of that. I think about it all the time and every day in examining myself. But I also know that it seems that I am to take care of what's in here right now. And so I continue to do that. And I just want to thank you though, because I think about what's gone on in my life with music and things and you know, I'm glad that I was able to, maybe bring some joy to people for those times. And I'm very, happy that that happened for you and for me. I had good times with it, but there's a larger picture internally in a lot of that. And so I hope you can receive that. I'm gonna let this go. I know it went kind of longer, even longer than I thought, I guess. But I love you all and thank you. And Jeff, I love you so much. And you know, I always wanted to make you proud, and I still do. And I want you to continue to guide me to do that. All right, bud. Man. All right, folks. Thank you. I love you. Have a good day.